Okay, I'd like to give you a hopefully brief overview of Module 3, pretty much the whole module. Module 3 is all about assessment. So we're going to be looking at some traditional assessment, specifically focusing on a selected response type of assessment, and you'll be developing one of those types of assessments. And then we're going to look at alternative assessments, and you'll have an opportunity to develop an alternative assessment. And the last thing you'll be doing in the module is the rubric based on an alternative assessment. So a quick look at the schedule. Here we are at Module 3. We're almost finished, as you can see from the schedule. In Module 3 you have 2 reading logs. Both of these reading logs will be based upon reading from the other required textbook for the course. That's the one that's put to the test. And we start off by reading the introduction to the assessment module. As soon as you've finished your checklist in Module 2, you'll be able to see these components of Module 3 in the content section. So be sure and read the introduction, and then you're going to be reading just one chapter out of Put to the Test for reading log number 3. Okay, let's go back to the course. So here's that introduction that you're going to start off things with, and then reading that chapter 5 out of Put to the Test, which focuses specifically on that traditional form of assessment. And that's the selected response assessment, as you see here. So as soon as you've completed your reading log based on that particular reading, the next thing you're going to do is develop a selected response assessment, and the instructions for doing that are here. And then you're going to do some more reading, and this time you're going to read a few more chapters out of Put to the Test, and these all focus on types of alternative assessment and also on developing a rubric. So the next thing you'll do after completing your reading log number 4 is to do an alternative assessment, and the instructions are here for that. And then the last thing you do in Module 4 is a rubric. And let me go back. So first of all, we're looking at our introduction to alternative assessment. Let me get to the right place here. You're just reading this. Most people, and even many teachers, when they hear the word assessment, the first thing they think of are tests. Specifically, they think of the kind of test that they're used to getting when they were students, when they finished a lesson, finished a book chapter, or whatever, there was a test. And the test was usually the traditional paper and pencil test, and on that test very often there were items like true and false, multiple choice, perhaps matching. Occasionally teachers will put in fill-in-the-blank type questions. Sometimes they'll add short answer questions, and teachers who think they have enough time, or because of their content areas think they need to have more writing, will have perhaps a few essay questions on their tests. So this is a standard kind of test we usually talk about, but in this module we're going to learn about a variety of different types of assessments that go beyond the standard test, and that's where we talk about developing assessments that are out of the ordinary. So you read through the introduction. There's a link to a file here that shows you what one school district provides their teachers as far as grading and behavior issues, so you might want to take a look at that. Okay, now let's move back to the contents. Your selected response after you've done your first reading log for this module, that's reading log number 3, your selected response assessment is explained here. And there are specific numbers of items that you're going to be developing for this assessment. 25 minimum test items, and out of those 25 you're going to have at least 10 multiple choice, 5 true and false, 5 matching items, and since you have the kind of content where you want your students to do a little more writing, and basically that should be any content area, you're going to develop at least 3 short, it's going to be 3 short answer items and an essay for a total of 4 items. I need to fix that number there. Okay, all right, all of this should look fairly familiar to you. So we get off to a fairly not very complicated start in looking at assessments. Then we're going to come back to the readings and read those chapters input to the test on alternative assessments, complete our reading log number 4, and then you're going to work on your own alternative assessment. Now, you already read about assessment in the other textbook, and you read about types of alternative assessment like portfolios, and in the readings now input to the test, we're going to look at some other types of alternative assessment, interview types of assessment, performance assessments. Performance assessments are a very important type of assessment that we need to integrate into our instruction. And here's the types of assessment we're looking at. And then the last thing that we're going to be looking at in alternative assessment is rubrics. And there's an additional article here about rubrics. In this information on alternative assessments, there's a website where you can take a look at what alternative assessment looks like in terms of authentic learning for students. And then when you are working on rubrics, there's an additional link to a website called Rubistar, where you can develop your rubrics online. It's a free resource, and you can use Rubistar to develop your rubric for the assignment in this course. There's also an assessment page here where you can look at different types of assessment, including different ways to develop rubrics and different websites for doing that. You don't have to use Rubistar. You can use another online resource or develop your rubric just by setting it up yourself. And that's pretty much it for Module 3. Hopefully you'll have all of your assessments completed. These do go into your instructional design plan for your final project for the course. And after this module, that's what we'll be working on, is to make the necessary modifications, revisions to our instructional design plans, include our assessment components, and then write our reflections and submit that. And we'll talk about that when we get to the last module, Module 4 for the course. Okay?